Rocky. Oh, come on, don't put it there. Rocky, I don't want to get your slob all over me. There you go. Sorry about that. What is up, guys? Hope you're all having a wonderful morning. I am so sorry for not uploading much these past few days. I was in Cancun celebrating a friend's wedding. So much has happened this past week. Let's see, we went from 4,000 subscribers to 13,000 this morning. We've grown so fast that I haven't even had an opportunity to thank you guys for this milestone achievement of 10,000 subscribers. So here it is. Thank you all so very, very much. I'm so grateful for this wonderful, beautiful bond and engagement that we share. I read every single one of your comments and it uplifts me every single time. So thank you all for that. And I hope we can continue with this momentum. So please, please, please continue telling all your friends about this channel. Please recommend the channel. If there are any favorite YouTube channels that you have and you want to see me collab with them, please get on their channel and comment, hey, go collab with Fifth Gear and Up. If you tell them enough times, they're eventually going to listen to you, because ultimately it's all about what you guys want to see. Otherwise, I'm just a guy in a swinging chair staring into a lens. Same with every other YouTuber. So it's all about what you guys want to see. So if you want to see me collab with someone, please let me know and I will do my best. Well, not my best, but I will make sure it happens. So yeah, let's continue with the momentum. Let's make sure we hit our goal of 500,000 subscribers, so one of you lucky subscribers gets to win the Ferrari FF. Now let's talk money on track. This will be the last episode where I talk about the towing businesses. In the next episode, I'll share how I transitioned into the oil field, but it's important to talk about the towing business to establish the storyline or the timeline of how I built my foundation. So my dad always told me to set 3 goals: a small goal, a medium goal, and a big goal, and to think of them like the Great Pyramids of Egypt. So you have your small pyramid, the medium-sized pyramid, and the big pyramid. The small goal should be something that's like 5 years away. The medium goal should be something that's 10 years away, and the big pyramid, your big goal should be about 15 years away. Now I know if you're 18, to 24 years old, you might think 15 years is a very long time from now, but trust me, go ask any person who's 30, 40, 50 years old, and they'll tell you time flies by in a matter of seconds. If you go ask your parents, and I'm sure your parents will tell you it seemed like just yesterday when you were born. So the point of all this is you have to start today to achieve your ultimate goal. Do not hold off on it. Don't think something's gonna be handed to you. Don't think with time it'll happen. No, you have to work on it starting today. Now within every pyramid there are sub goals. So think of these sub goals as the blocks to every pyramid. So you have your foundation, the lower block, and then the higher you go in the pyramid, the smaller the blocks get. And the smaller the blocks get, the easier those goals are to achieve. Think of it like the saying, money makes money, right? And the more money you have, the easier it is to make more money. Or, sorry, I'm switching my hand, my arm's getting tired. The best analogy, something we can all relate to, is think of this YouTube channel, for example. If all we had was 1 subscriber, and that 1 subscriber recommended this channel to just 1 friend, then all we would have is just 2 subscribers. But when we hit 100,000 subscribers, and all 100,000 recommended to still just 1 friend each, now we'll have 200,000 subscribers. So the growth rate is exponential, meaning the higher you go along the steps, the easier it is to get to the next step. In the first episode of this Money on Track series, I talked about how my family business, my dad's business, was struggling during the recession, and that I decided to take a year off from school to go help my dad out and to help him get the business back on track. I also told you guys how the very first contract I went after was a multi-million-dollar government contract, which I eventually ended up receiving, or was granted. But from the day I decided to pursue that contract until the day I actually got the contract, almost a whole year. It took a bit over a year, and well, we didn't have an entire year to waste, and I definitely couldn't put all of my eggs in that basket in the event that I wasn't granted the contract. So what I decided to do during the same period of time was pursue a contract with the Auto Club, also known as AAA, which is the biggest roadside service provider in the nation, and I think in the world actually. They're an international company. I know they're all over the place, so they are the biggest and the baddest when it comes to roadside service. Now the way AAA works is that they don't have their own tow trucks. Instead what they do is they subcontract towing companies to become providers or AAA stations. And every city or area has on average about 2 to 3 providers. There's a primary contractor, and then there's a backup contractor, an auxiliary station, backup auxiliary station. So the primary contractor on average runs about 100 calls a day, and whatever they cannot handle gets passed down to the auxiliary or backup station, which is roughly about 3 calls a day. So a big difference between the 2 stations. And when you first apply to AAA, you start off as a backup station. Eventually, you move yourself up the ladder to become a primary station. So I called AAA and I spoke with the regional manager and I expressed my interest in becoming a provider for him. He told me I could absolutely fill out an application, but he did warn me that there are other applicants waiting for their turn. And that turn comes whenever a provider, whether it's a primary or a backup station provider, fails to provide good service. If they're constantly late to calls, if they're not nice with members, they get kicked out of the program, and then the next person in line replaces them. Now, the application basically entailed a few pages describing your business, along with pictures of your trucks, your office, and your tow yard. So what my dad and I did to stand apart from all the other applicants, because there was a big pool of applicants, we went to Home Depot and we bought blue and white paint, the colors of AAA. Now, we freshly painted our tow yard and our office white and blue, and I remember the very first reaction from the AAA regional manager whenever he saw the pictures of our office and tow yard. When he saw the pictures in the application, his reaction was, "Wow, I love the colors. You guys already look like a AAA towing company." Now, that was the first seed that we planted in his head into making him realize that we are worthy of becoming a AAA provider. Openings with AAA happen very seldomly. They were very far apart because once you are a provider, once you're in with AAA, you make sure to provide the best service so you don't get replaced by the next guy in line. So because I had a lengthy process ahead of me, and because there were numerous other applicants in that same pool with me, I wanted to speed up that process, and that is when my persistence kicked in. I would call the regional manager about 2-3 times every single week just to check in with them. Hey, how you doing? Just checking in to see if there are any openings. Now, obviously there weren't any openings, but that would never discourage me from calling him 2-3 times a week. I wanted to build a relationship with him. Even though it was just through the phone, I wanted my voice, my company's name, my name to be fresh in his mind. That was the second seed I planted in his head. I was always fresh in his mind. I did not get lost among all the other applicants. I didn't just turn in a perfect application, sit on my ass, and be one of the several other dozen. And then when the Metro contract progressed, I called them and told them, hey, we just landed a Metro contract. We're adding 5 trucks to the fleet. Now, I hadn't landed the contract. It was still in the works. It was actually far ways out. But I told him that to plant another seed in his head. And that seed was to get him to think, wow, these guys just landed Metro. That's huge. They're expanding. These guys are the real deal. Now, that was another way I set myself apart from all the other applicants. Now, about 6 months after I turned in the application, I called him one day just to check in with him, and he finally said, you know what? I've got something available. Now, I don't know if he just said yes to get me off his ass so I would stop calling him twice a week. But he tells me, I've got something. I don't think you're going to want it. It's quite a bit of a drive and it's not the greatest area. So I'm not sure you're going to want it. But I told him, you know what? I'll take it. I just want to get my foot in the door to prove to you and to the Auto Club that I can provide the best service to you guys so I can grow with you. So that's how I got my foot in the door with the Auto Club. Now, we started off as a backup station and the money and the call volume were not great, but it was enough to keep us afloat. We were no longer going negative during this recession. We were at least staying neutral. So now another 6 months went by and my dad and I and the rest of our crew, we were really busting our asses off. I mean, we were busting our tails. We were providing the best service. We were on time to every single call. All the members, all the Auto Club members loved us. They wrote very good reviews about us. So we were granted a second and then a third backup area. So our call volume kept increasing, but we were still a backup station. Now, during that same period of time, I reached out to Geico, State Farm, Allstate, Road America, Cross Country, Ajero, and a bunch of other smaller roadside service providers, and I received contracts with them as well. Now, all of those combined only makes up about 40% of the Auto Club. The Auto Club is the biggest and the baddest. And my regional manager knew that I had those other contracts. Now, this is when I planted the final seed in his head by showing him my loyalty to him. What I did one day was pretty unorthodox. I called him and I told him, I'm dropping all the other contracts I have. I'm staying loyal to you. I'm only gonna focus on AAA and you. Now, he was shocked. He said, why would you do that? Why would you give up extra money? I said, because I want to prove my loyalty to you. I said, we're kicking ass. We're doing a very good job. He said, yeah, you guys really are doing a good job. You're ranked top 5 out of all 500 stations. So I said, okay, then it's only a matter of time before we become a primary provider for you. Now, that was the final seed that I planted in his head, because subliminally, I put it in his mind that I'm going to become a primary provider in the near future. So I told him, you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice and I'm willing to lose a bit of money in the short run, because in the near future, I'm going to become a primary provider. And sure enough, a few months later, we became a primary provider, and that is when the money really started kicking in. So now it had been about a year that we were a primary station, and we had continued busting our tails off and providing the absolute best service. That's when we were granted our second primary contract, which is when I branched out, and which I talked about on the second episode of this series. And then about a year after that, we got our third primary station, and then our fourth primary station, and then our fifth primary station. That's when we were really starting to make money. So in about 6 short years, we went from having one station with just 5 trucks to 5 stations with 52 trucks, ranging from light duty all the way up to heavy duty. So if there's one thing I want you guys to, well, actually 2 things I want you guys to take away from this, it's to be persistent and to be loyal. So solve your most immediate problem, make it real as soon as you can, and then be loyal to those who put food on your table. Loyalty goes a very, very, very long way, and that is the fastest way that you can expand. So yeah, that concludes this episode, and that's the last time we'll talk about the towing business. If there are any questions, if there's anything I left out, please go ahead and ask, and I'll answer in the comment section. But yeah, for now, that is all. See you guys next episode. Ciao.